Hello, welcome to the Flying Note Center, your vision channel. Our topic for today is going to be about the primary flight controls. And primary flight controls, these are controls that are used to control the aircraft on ground and in the air. These primary controls include the elevator, the aileron, and the rudder. Continue, we want us to understand the axis of an aeroplane, where we have the vertical or the normal axis, we have the lateral axis, and the longitudinal axis. All these axes are pegged on the center of gravity, and now we're going to check on the movement along these axes of an aeroplane. For lateral axis, we have elevator movements where we have the pitching up and pitching down, and for the vertical axis we have the rudder yaw movements where we can yaw to the right and yaw to the left, and for the longitudinal axis we have the aileron roll movement where we can roll to the right and roll to the left. And so the stability that is associated with lateral axis is longitudinal stability, and the one associated with the vertical axis is called directional stability. And lastly, the longitudinal axis that is referred to lateral stability. For now, we're going to check on the primary control surface. For an aileron, the airplane movement that it causes roll, and the axis of rotation is along the longitudinal axis. And the type of stability associated with this, for it to return back to neutral, is about the lateral stability. For elevator or stabilator, we have the pitching up and pitching down movement, which occurs along the lateral axis, and this is associated with the longitudinal stability. For the rudder, we have aeroplane movement, which is yaw to the left or yaw to the right, which acts along the vertical axis of movement, and the associated stability is directional stability. So let's look at this movement. We've talked about the roll, which the roll is a movement around the longitudinal axis, and the pitch is the movement around lateral axis. Pitch in this case means you're going down or going up, and roll means you are moving from left to right and along the longitudinal axis, while your means movement around the vertical axis. This means you have a fixed reference feature, but the aircraft is drifting to the left or drifting to the right. So this we call as yaw. So the functions of the controls, as we have already mentioned before, we have the aileron, and we also have the rudder and the elevator. And as discussed before, ailerons cause movement around the vertical stability, around the vertical axis, where this movement is called roll. And ailerons are controlled using the control column, where the control column can be moved to the right, and the right wing will go down, and when the opposite wing will go up, and the control column left will make the left wing go down, and the right aileron will go up. In this case, that is how we control the movement along the longitudinal axis of the ailerons. And we go to another primary control surface, which is now the elevator, usually found on the stabilizers, horizontal stabilizers. And the elevator controls the movement along the lateral axis, and this movement is called the pitch movement. We have the pitching down and pitching up. When the nose goes down, that means pitching down, and when the nose goes up, we are pitching up. And now the elevators are controlled using the control column. Control column move forward, the nose will go down, and control column back, the nose will go up, and this is pitching up, pitching down, and pitching up. An alternative to the elevator is the stabilator. It is controlled the same way the elevator is controlled. The entire horizontal stabilizer moves to act as an elevator. And we go to the third primary control surface, which is the rudder. The rudder is found on the vertical stabilizer, which is on the tail of the aircraft as shown. And the rudder controls movement around the vertical axis. And the movement is called yaw. So when you step on the right rudder, the aircraft will yaw to the right. And when you step on the left rudder, the aircraft will yaw to the left. The rudder is controlled using the rudder pedals, and the rudder pedal, right rudder pedal, when pressed, it means the aircraft will yaw to the right, and when you press the left rudder pedal, the aircraft will yaw to the left.